Hey everyone, it's America's kick-ass career coach Mo Faul here at you with another segment of Bring Your Soul to Work. Today, it is relationship and love expert Lisa Shield joining me. Hello, Lisa.
Hi, Mo. How are you?
Good. Lisa and I met in a gathering of other online coaches and got to know each other and love each other's work. And I said, Lisa, come join me for a chat about how important and impactful it is for women to have relationships that matter. And we'll talk a little about how careers matter and just really get into kind of a woman to woman, soul to soul chat here. So before we dive into that, Lisa, how about if you just tell us a little bit about you and how you got started in this work and what you do, and then we'll just keep going from there.
Absolutely. So I am a dating and relationship coach. I call my business Naked Dating, and we focus on getting emotionally naked.
Uh-huh.
I have been doing this for over 15 years. I think I am one of the very first dating coaches.
Uh-huh.
At least when I thought I was making up the title when I became a coach, because there really were no other coaches doing what I was doing at the time. I went online 17 years ago, and I met my husband 15 years ago on JDate.
Okay.
And we have been married for 13 years, and it was literally a miracle. And so he looked at me one day and he said, you should be doing something. You should be a coach or a therapist. I had an importing company at the time. And I said, okay. And then I was like, okay, what am I going to coach on? And I thought, I'm going to coach dating because there's a need for it. And I knew that there had to be other people out there like me who were floundering. And so here we are.
Yes.
15 years later, 15 years and thousands of clients later.
Yes. And you just told me about having a little episode of a bunch of marriages happening with your clients.
Yeah, it has literally been a banner year. I think I have had over 9 weddings just in Los Angeles this year. I'm going to one this coming Saturday, and of my clients just in LA. And when we were in Kauai,
yes,
there was somebody getting married in Maui from like one of my clients. He's adorable. And then there was another. I'm going to one, and then I performed the weddings of 3 of those people, and I couldn't do one of them because I had a 4th one, but we were at another MA event. So, but I have to tell you the craziest story, Mo. Benjamin and I were going out to see a movie last Sunday, and I'm waiting for him to pull out the car out of the driveway, and this man and his girlfriend walk up with their pit bull, and they're like, and then he looks at me and he said, you don't recognize us, do you? And it took me a minute. And she held up her finger and she said, look. And he said, this is because of you.
Wow.
And he said, you got us started on this path.
Wow.
So I have one more engagement to add to my.
Wow. That's awesome. And you work with men, women, all ages, all different types of people looking for relationships?
I do. I coach a surprising number of men. And I'd say that the real age range is somewhere between about 26 and maybe 42. But I have people who are on either side of that.
Yeah. Interesting. You know, I find in the work I do with women with careers that most of the women I work with are between 45 and 55. Because they've had enough bumps and bruises, and they're at a point where it's like, you know what, the way I'm doing my career isn't working. It's not feeling good, and I'm sick and tired of it. So they get to like a fed up point. Do you find that with clients who come your way?
Yeah, I think that's probably what drives them to us, is that they're at this fed up point. And as you and I both know, it's almost impossible today with all the demands and pressures and things that people want to do.
Yeah.
When you really want to create transformation in a particular area of your life, it seems like hiring a coach is the way to go because they've already mapped out that course. They know how to get you there faster. You don't
Right.
have to do all the guesswork.
Yes.
So yeah, I think that's why they come to us.
Right, indeed. And the recipe for success, you and I have both been through what it is that we coach. And
Yes.
the recipe for success, when you include a lot of the things that we've done, we kind of compress time for them.
Mm-hmm.
So I tell women all the time, you might be able to accomplish a goal of your career 3 to 5 years from now, but how about if we get that compressed into 12 weeks?
Yeah, it's a miracle.
It
I mean, it's a
is.
miracle. And I think also, having worked with coaches myself, I can't believe like when somebody is a master at a particular field, what they can offer you
Right.
is mind blowing.
It is
There
indeed.
are some people today that have such elevated levels of success that it's incredible. And then if you can find them and plug into those people, and just like, okay, it's like you download not just
Mhm.
their information, but you download their transformation.
Yes.
And it's just wild.
Yes.
But yeah.
Yeah. I hired my first coach 17 years ago. In the year 2000,
Wow.
my career was struggling, kind of like the same time that you came upon this. My career I was struggling. My career was actually on the outside kind of going okay, but I was not happy. I was not fulfilled. I was not feeling in alignment with what I really wanted to do. And I've had a coach of one way, shape, or form, sometimes hired by the company I was working for, but I've had a coach pretty much ongoing for those 17 years. And
Wow.
I know what it feels like to have an expert help me gain direction and clarity and a tool, a technique, or a process that I would have not known about. What are some of the things that your clients are kind of missing that you help them solve? Like, what are some of the main things that they just don't understand about the dating or relationship game that you help them understand?
Everything.
Where do I begin to tell the story?
I think that, here's the thing. My approach is really a very deeply spiritual one. I'm
Mhm.
not the crystals and angels and tarot cards coach,
Uh-huh.
but I think woven into my entire program is a very realistic, but, and grounded spirituality that permeates everything.
Mhm.
And when I talk about that, I'm really talking about all of the, so here's what I would say. I woke up, I was getting my master's degree in spiritual psychology when I started dating again. I was also working with Don Miguel Ruiz,
Oh,
who wrote
yeah.
the Four Agreements,
Yes.
and I was doing all kinds of stuff. Those were just a couple of the things. And I had this epiphany. I realized that I knew this already. I believed that all spiritual paths were paths to unconditional love or God. I think God and unconditional love are synonymous. But
Yeah.
what my epiphany was that I realized that they're telling us how to do it now in this lifetime.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And I never realized, I thought you had to be an ascended master to have unconditional love. And suddenly I realized, no, they're giving us the building blocks. They're giving us the stepping stones: gratitude, kindness, forgiveness,
Yeah.
Unattachment, learning how to let go,
Yeah.
being in the now. All of those things were the tools to get us from here to there.
Mhm.
But I had never put that all together. And so I was like, oh my God, like, I can do this. Like, it's for real. This is not like, it's right there. It was like discovering the Holy Grail or some, or some like
Right.
solving the biggest mystery in the universe.
Mhm.
And I just thought, with the internet and the ability to go out and date today, we have this power, this ability to date as much as we want, and then to master these skills while we're dating. So when you ask me, like, what don't people know?
Yeah.
I think most people are just going on date after date after date, hoping to meet the one.
Uh-huh.
And then it's like, oh, this didn't work. That sucked. What a jerk. This guy, didn't get dressed. He didn't put on decent clothes. He drives a crappy car. But they're just looking at everything on the surface. and they're not looking at this whole spiritual dimension. I mean, looking for love is the most spiritual of spiritual paths.
Yes. Yes.
So that's what I think people come to me for.
Yeah.
Is really this phenomenal transformation from the inside out, where they start to use their dating as a transformational process. What about you? Do you do some of that with you? I'm guessing.
It's funny. My whole approach is spiritual and an inward journey also. And we would think that our work and our careers is all out there. But what I find all the time is that women who are stuck in their careers are stuck inside. And usually there's feelings of self-worth, confidence level. Oftentimes there's some family of origin issues where they've been told certain things and kind of beaten in them some beliefs that have held them back for way too long. And interestingly, Lisa, and this is a little bit what you just said, but one of the most stifling aspects of women in their careers is using their intellect to move their career forward. It doesn't work. We only advance our careers and our contribution in the world, the value we put out there to receive money back, has to be a soulful, heart-centered business. Our careers have to come from here. And no one's telling us that. They're all saying, get the degree, get the experience, walk all over people, be a bully, do this, do that. And many of us women in the workforce are following a male-dominated pathway. And we don't have to get too far into that conversation right now in the news cycle. There's a lot going on about how that's shifting. Suffice it to say that women want connection more than anything in their lives. It's how we're wired. It's how our hormones function. It's how our DNA is engineered. And men go out and get stuff. And they go get. And women are seeking connection. That's a disconnected social structure for work. So women have to feel more powerful within themselves in order to navigate that. And that's the work that I do. I help them find their true soul. I call it their soul print, the true soul, personal mission statement, and then to craft the career from that point. And most women don't have a good internal GPS. Most women aren't imagining a destination really worthy of who they are. They're thinking small. Most women have gremlins in charge of their life. They're listening to the I can't, I shouldn't, I don't, wanting more money is greedy. All of these gremlins are like on the back, on the shoulders, in the ears. They're like all over. I could just imagine these women with all these bugs and gremlins telling them things while they're trying to navigate their careers. And then, a lot of women don't know how to invest in themselves. And to get out of what we've always been doing that's gotten us the result, to get out of that, we need an external expert to give us that info. Looks like the dog wanted either in or out.
His will is greater than mine.
Right. At least your dog knows what it wants. I mean, that's like the key right there. Knowing what you want starts it all.
I tell everybody if they could date like Milo, this would be a piece of cake.
So when you take someone inward to their spiritual journey, how does that unfold for them? What does that typically look like?
So, my paradigm is obviously naked dating. And so we look at having your frenemy on one shoulder, your naked dater on the other.
Okay.
And then in the middle is what I call your madolescent. And your madolescent is this part of you, this mad adolescent that is really the part of you that you send out into the dating world.
Oh.
Most of us are still dating with our high school dating skills. And I think, we want the cute hot guy or the cute, or the sexy girl. And in fact, people today even are calling them, men are calling women girls and women are referring to men as boys.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
So that's a big issue. That makes my skin crawl. Like, seriously, my husband would divorce me. And I don't say this as a joke. Benjamin would divorce me if he heard me refer to him as a boy. And I'm proud. Like, I worked really hard to be a woman.
Yes.
I'm proud of this. But most people that I see are really dating with a high school mentality. So hence the adolescent.
Yeah.
And we give, I have a process where you name your frenemy and then you meet your naked dater. Your naked dater is representative of your higher self or your inner wisdom.
Yes.
And the goal is really to start to tune out the frenemy and start to tune into the naked dater. And so I give them this whole process for learning how to listen to the naked dater and the wisdom and communicate and dialogue with it so that becomes the stronger voice.
Yeah. So what happens to one of your clients when they start to feel that alignment with their naked dater? What do you notice in them or in their lives? Because I'm sure it's not just the dating that changes.
No, it isn't. It's really interesting, as you and I both know, it affects everything.
Yeah.
It affects every aspect of their lives. I remember a review that somebody wrote for me, and she said, Lisa has helped me with my dating tremendously, but I'm also a better daughter. I'm a better friend. I'm a better sister. For me, it's so much about kindness and compassion and being coming from love.
Yes.
And being this expression of love in the world. So when you go on dates or when you're emailing people online or texting with people and somebody is doing something that's inappropriate, it's watching how the frenemy wants to come up, and pop its head up, but really saying, no, I'm going to turn to my naked dater. In fact, I got the most beautiful, beautiful email from a client that I worked with. She was really tough and we became friends. I mean, I love her. She was really tough to coach. She's so stubborn and she was angry. And she wrote me a message on Facebook. I think it was just a couple days ago. And she just said, Lisa, I have to thank you. She said, I'm in a relationship with a young man right now, and I hear your voice in my head, and I hear myself speaking with such kindness and such love, and I'm so sweet. And she said, this voice coming out of me, I didn't even, I didn't even know it was there until I started working with you.
Yeah.
But what I would say to your clients is, to attract love, you have to become a more loving person.
Yes.
You can't go out and be a bitch or be a man.
Yeah.
That's the other thing. No man wants to date another man.
Well,
they want a woman.
Wait, there are some men who want to date other men.
Yes, well, I stand corrected.
Yeah.
Yes. Not the men that the straight women want to
date. Right, exactly.
Not those, but the man that you want to date does not want to be in a relationship with another man.
Yes, indeed.
Yes.
And the funny thing is that as you're talking about this difficult client, I'm remembering a woman from my coaching call just last night who I call it arm wrestling when someone's really resistant to the coaching and they're hanging on to their stories. So I arm wrestled her last week. And of course, I do it with love and consideration of the fact that we're birthing a new human. We're birthing her new self, and so sometimes it requires a little Lamaze coaching. Breathe. You got this. Come on. Push. And so there's usually sometimes this aspect of that level of labor pains going through the process of breaking someone open so they can see how awesome they are. As they approach whatever their potentiality is, either in their career or in their relationship. And she thanked me for having patience with her.
Aww.
And I'm sure you see this all the time. I know who her next best self is before she does. I can see it. I know it. And it's kind of like, what a lot of artists say, that I'm just revealing the stone that's already there. It takes a loving kindness from a coach to help someone through that. And I can just imagine with the vulnerability of dating, how important that is. And once people find that, you see a difference in their face, don't you? I mean, their entire countenance changes.
The transformation is extraordinary. Like I had another client, another difficult one, Mo, who, and I want to say one thing to your audience. I rarely see a person who gives this their all and really follows these spiritual truths who doesn't find love.
Yes.
It may take some people a little longer or some people a little shorter.
Yes.
But even the people who I find the most, who really hold on the strongest, or the ones who are most caught up in their victim.
Yeah.
They find it. And so I was on Facebook the other day, and one of my former clients had gotten engaged, I think over Thanksgiving or something. And she also had a very, very rough journey. And she's a very beautiful woman, stunning. And anyway, she was glowing. She was glowing. And you could see how much she'd softened, and how much you can see it.
Yeah.
You can see the sweetness and the softness and,
right.
How they transform.
Yeah. I want to make one statement that I know you'll agree with. And that is that both of us are in the coaching, helping profession of moving someone toward an external thing that is predicted to give them happiness. And make no mistake about it, what you and I are both talking about is that the internal happiness comes first. This external thing, the relationship or the work, the job, is not what brings happiness. It is the result of finding the person, finding their own true sense of self and power and their own uniqueness. And then they match up with the relationship and or the career. And I find myself sometimes maybe getting astray of that, and maybe having people think, well, when you find the right job, you're going to get happy. And that's not what I'm saying. I know it's not what you're saying. You're saying, I want you to find how beautiful and loving and kind you are inside. And then you will match up with the perfect partner.
Yes. Absolutely. I mean, when you are emotionally naked and you really are, you're not walled off, you're not guarded, but you're really authentic. And part of that really does come, by the way, from getting your heart broken and being able to prove to yourself what you're made of.
Yes.
You can't go out there and really have the kind of love I think most people want if you're not willing to really run the gauntlet and, come out whole on the other side. People think that they're trying to do that.
Yeah.
And that's why it takes so long, right? You've got to, get your, have your scars and your war wounds and whatever.
Yes.
But that's how, that's what a heroic journey is. These are heroic journeys. If you want the, I can't remember what they call it, but if you want the apotheosis and the prize, and the ultimate gift at the end, which is what we're all longing for, you've got to go through all of that. And once you do, you can have it, but you don't get it by playing it safe.
Yeah.
Or trying to find the easy, soft. There's a saying I know in 12-step programs, we all looked for the easier, softer way. It doesn't exist.
Right.
Talk to any addict. They will tell you.
Yes. Well, I have a saying that I keep right on my bookshelf here, and I want to read it to you because it's totally apropos here. One of my coaches who I received coaching from, she shared this with me. And I love it, and I read it all the time to my clients. For a seed to achieve its greatest expression, it must come fully and completely undone. The shell cracks, its insides come out, everything changes. To someone who doesn't understand growth, it would look like complete destruction.
Yes. I love that. I love that. That's beautiful.
Isn't that great? That's by Cynthia Ocelli. That's not the name of my coach, but this is the quote
Mm-hmm.
she actually shared with me.
Beautiful.
And
Beautiful.
we sometimes get so anxious during the destruction phase, thinking that that's the permanent phase. And I know with an excellent coach like you are, Lisa, you're guiding your clients gently through that process of redefining. And with that type of guidance, we can all get through that destruction phase, that phase of feeling comfortable being naked. In the work I do, it's bring your soul to work. Well, if I bring my soul to work, I'm going to get hurt, and people are going to. That's too soft. And really, it's just the opposite. Don't you find that when that naked emotional person is on a date, they are so much stronger than the person who was trying to be, or was playing the game of being the adolescent.
Well, yeah, absolutely. But I think, Mo, the biggest piece about that is that to truly be naked, you have to be strong. To
Yes.
be authentically naked,
Yeah.
you have to have gone through all of these experiences and let your heart get broken,
Mm-hmm.
let yourself get fired from your dream job.
Yep.
You go through those things because you get to see who you are on the other side.
Yes.
And I'm not saying you want to go out, seeking out
happen.
those things,
right.
or blowing things up because you want to get there faster. But life is going to throw challenges at you, and you've got to see who you are in the face of them.
Yes.
And that's what I talk about. Like, really, with dating, you have to learn how to be rejected without rejecting yourself. And when you can do that, you come through this experience. And like my last guy that I met before I met Benjamin, he ripped me to shreds. He did. Like, I was at his house. We had been dating 8 weeks or 6 weeks. And we were sitting like working on something together, and he looked at me and he snapped at me and he said, you're just like my father. You're so condescending. And I kind of got up and I was like, whoa, okay then. I'm like, I'm going to take a break. And I said, I think I'm going to just go to bed. And I went up and I went to sleep. And then when he had fallen asleep, I said, I'm out of here. If this is 6 weeks, I'm not going to see 6 months or 6 years.
Right.
So the next morning he calls me and he says, I want to talk to you before I end this. And I'm thinking, I went home in the middle of the night, but sure, whatever. I'm so like Don Miguel, 4 agreements, don't take anything personally.
Right.
So I was like, sure, what do you have to say? And he proceeds to do this character assassination of me. Like, Mo, somebody would have had to have had a notebook and been taking notes to have this much material in 6 weeks,
Jeez.
Right? I mean, literally, he's like, you're this and you're that, and you're so self-absorbed, and you're like such a bitch. And I'm just sitting there, right? And I've never, like, normally I would have been like, well, you're a jerk, and how dare you? And I can't believe you're saying this stuff. I sat there and I just listened to him. And there was no script for this, right? Like, I had no idea what was going to come out of my mouth. But this was me facing, really being willing to face this, right?
Yes.
This look in this mirror. And I literally had this image. He like totally slayed me. And then I just said, oh my God. I said, you really don't like me. No defensiveness.
Yeah.
No self-explanation.
Right.
This was 38 years or 39, so 40 years of work, right? Like, of me getting to this point. And I was like, you don't like me. And he said, what are you going to do about this? And I said, I'm going to hang up the phone.
Right.
I said, I'm going to be in a relationship with someone who doesn't like me.
I'm going to hang up the phone and not call you back.
Yeah. And
Wow.
I put down the phone, and I was, I had this image when he was like laying into me. I was taking none of it on.
Yes.
Like, and I had this image that I had a mirror in my hand, and I had flipped it around and I had put it back in his face.
Yes.
And when it was all done, I was like, whoa, you passed that test.
Yeah.
I felt like I had totally graduated something.
PhD.
And then 2 months later, I met Benjamin.
Yeah. Wow. That's so great. That's
Yeah,
so,
it was amazing.
So awesome. We have to face down these gremlins, these dragons that want to take us off our path, that want to convince us of things. And I still struggle with what's the point of evil and what's the point of this, but honestly, the whole point is that it is lessons for our unfolding, and without being kind of packed in soil, the seed doesn't have anything to grow with. It needs that in order to grow. And oftentimes when I find a woman who I'm working on their career and they're not with a partner, it's always right up there on the list. And I say, fantastic. So let's get you fully aligned with your power. Let's get you gainfully, financially free and happy. And then your best partner will be right there, next steps. But if they bring their adolescent to that, they're still going to have some challenges. So, right? I mean,
yeah, I have to say, I think it can also go both ways.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've also had, like in my own personal life, I had the experience that when I found my partner, my soulmate, that's when my career blossomed.
Yes.
So I think that they kind of go hand in hand.
I agree. Yes. Yes.
For me, I had so much validation and so much love, and Benjamin sees me, and I see this with other people,
Mm-hmm.
in that I work with. So it can go both ways. I think at some point you've just got to pick a path.
Yes.
And see it to the end.
Yes.
And then once you get to the end of that path and you've really got the tools, then you can apply that stuff anywhere in your life.
Yes.
It's the same stuff.
Yes, it is. Being awesome it applies to every aspect of our life. What would you say is the definition, Lisa, of like the perfect, and we'll use that word in the context of always constantly unfolding. What's your idea of the perfect relationship, or the perfect place to be in relationship with another human at an intimate level? What's that look like?
Well, I'm going to start with, I think that dating can be a real path to getting there.
Mm-hmm.
So the way I look at it is, if you're out in the dating world and you have to go on all these dates, why not be perfecting yourself and your relationship skills while you're out there?
Yeah.
Why not let go of as much as your baggage and your emotional unintelligence, right?
Right.
As you can, so that and your drama and, so that when you finally meet this person, you don't have to be in a relationship talking about how to have the relationship. You can just be having the relationship.
Yes.
Right. So I'm sure, maybe you and Stacy share this. I'm hoping you do.
Mm-hmm.
Some of my clients are astounded to hear that my husband and I never have relationship talks.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's like, if we have something to talk about,
I never thought of that.
It's like, my husband might say, hey, when you mentioned my ex-wife at that party the other night, really bummed me out. I prefer that you don't do that.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, oh my God, I know the minute her name came out of my mouth, I realized it was a mistake. I mean, we clean up things so quickly.
Yes.
So I think, as with anything in life, the more you take, you're accountable for your own actions, the quicker you clean up your side of the street, the less defensive you are.
Yes.
If you no self-explanation or defensiveness, all of those things make for a very easy relationship,
Yes.
I don't know. It's just, Benjamin, I see not just me, but I see my clients step into this other paradigm of relationship where there is no arguing, there is no fighting, and relationships don't have to be work.
Yes.
That's completely untrue.
Yes. Right. And it's the same thing with work, honestly.
Mhm.
So when my clients find easiness at work, they're like, is this okay? It really surprises them, and I call it my I Love Mondays club, because when we're aligned with who we are and we're doing our best contribution for our talents, it's easy.
Yeah,
How
it
can
is.
people find you, Lisa? How could excuse me?
Ah, they can find me on Facebook.
Uh-huh.
And I have a fabulous, like one of my I think my pride and joy is this Facebook dating group that I have. It's called Dating Without Drama.
Okay.
There's about 4,300 members, I think, in the group.
Okay.
It's extremely active. It is just like the most amazing group, and there are men and women, so you get feedback from both sides. I keep
Interesting.
it very positive and loving, but
Yeah.
it gets a little racy sometimes, which makes it fun.
Yeah.
I am always posting I like naughty things, so I post them. It seems like my group likes it too, because we have a lot of fun in there. And then I have a webinar that I do, a
Okay.
wonderful webinar. And so it's a great way to really learn a lot about dating. And if you want, you can go to lisashield.com, which is my website.
Mhm.
And then there will be a pop-up where you can sign up. It'll take you right to the webinar where you can
Awesome.
sign up. And if you really like the webinar, if you watch it through to the end, at the end of the webinar, you can sign up for a call with me, probably a lot like you did with Mo.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Awesome. I love having another expert in her field to talk to, and fully knowing that this is one of the other aspects of life that is so important to us as human beings. We have to have connection and companionship. It's part of how we're made. So I really appreciate you spending time today, Lisa, talking with me, and I look forward to my audience, my kick-ass ladies, knowing about you and your work and your approach and philosophy to dating and relationships. It's been a lot of fun talking with you.
Oh, I agree, Mo. Thank you so much.
You got it.
I love what you do.
Thank you. We'll talk soon.
Okay.